everybody. Welcome to the YS channel. We're going to do our final thoughts and opinions on the G.I. Joe, the movie from 1987, based off the 1980s cartoon series. Cameron, you want to add anything to this intro to this final thoughts thing here?
Yeah, this movie was a interesting watch because for the longest time, it wasn't really available on DVD or Blu-ray to my knowledge. It wasn't until my research into the movie that I realized it's not really available, but it's the lesser known cousin of the 1980s Transformers movie which was made by the same production company.
Yeah, I know it's crazy because I know even the original Transformers movie, like after its initial release, they kind of sat in like home media purgatory for a while because the distribution rights keeps changing for it, kind of deal.
Yes.
I mean, now you can get it easily. But yeah, the G.I. Joe, because I think both those movies were in production at the same time, roughly.
Yes. Yeah. What happened with G.I. Joe? When it was in production, it faced delays and the delays that delayed the movie's release by over a year. And part of the problem was actually thanks to the Transformers movie, where they killed most of the Autobots, including Optimus Prime. In the original script of the G.I. Joe movie, it was supposed to be a darker tone, and the main character Duke was supposed to die, but they changed it to him going to coma.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say this. I mean, these movies are not bound by like the censorship standards of TV on kids TV at that time. It's pretty jarring. You watch like these cartoons. I've gone back and watched some of these episodes of these shows, and like the tone and the delivery is like incredibly just childish and lighthearted. It's like, go Joe, yay, we did it, yay. Then you watch this movie, and you get this fucking weird ass snake lady here, and then the scene where they actually kill Duke, there's blood, it's violent. And I'm like, damn.
yeah. This movie and the Transformers movie that came before it, it's actually a trend of 80s animation movies where they're aimed at children and families, but they have very serious dark tones.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird phase. I know, like, even a lesser known one was like, because Hasbro owns all these franchises, right?
Yes.
I think there was a My Little Pony show at the same time, and then I don't know if they made a movie based off the show. I think there was, if they did, it definitely would have come out roughly the same time. But because what happened to the Transformers movie and everything, I mean, that was like their C project.
Yes, well, Hasbro and the company Marvel Productions, which has nothing to do with Marvel Comics, had a third movie in the works based on, I think it was a TV show as well, called Jim and the Holograms.
Yeah, I do recall that being a thing.
Yeah, and there's a movie, an animation movie based on the show that came out around the same time as Transformers and G.I. Joe, but it also suffered the same release delays in release and production because of the issues of the Transformers movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of ironic, Transformers movie, because except for like a couple of the human characters, everything, all the rest of the characters were robots, dude. Like it's too violent. Like there's no blood, there's no gore, just robots being blown up. I mean, I get it. They killed Optimus Prime, which was like probably out of all the ones they shouldn't have killed. Like it's probably the one you shouldn't have killed, but they did it anyhow. Because you got to think about these movies all function like they're basically just feature length commercials.
Well,
especially the G.I. Joe movie, man, like like all the characters had their own figure, and then all the accessories and like laser guns they use, and then all the vehicles and jetpacks and crap. Those are all accessories and playsets you could have gotten as a kid for these things.
Yeah, well, in the 1980s, the Reagan administration pulled back the regulations on advertising towards kids. As soon as that happened, shows like He-Man, Transformers, G.I. Joe came to existence, where they were just basically your everyday 30-minute cartoon commercial. Basically, it predates Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Don't get me wrong, like I think out of all these shows, again, you know, I've watched like episodes of most of these shows we've been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The G.I. Joe show, I mean, I'm actually surprised as a kid we never caught any reruns of it. Or if we did, I don't remember it too well.
Cause well,
you know, I mean, that stuff was like, kind of like, I'm trying to think of something that would have been similar, like as far as tone and like just delivery. Because I mean, that's like little boys and shit. Like dudes fucking running around with like laser guns. It's like a fucking mashup, like Johnny Quest and like Gundam and all these other like different entities that were popular during this time frame.
Yeah,
it was just a fucking. I mean, granted, they did tone it down. It was still like a kick-ass action show. Granted, you know, that just follows the same formula most of these shows had at the time, where they would spoil the villain and you'd come back in the next episode and try some stupid thing again.
Yeah. Well, I think the reason why the G.I. Joe 80s cartoon show isn't as popular as the Transformers, it's just been because Transformers was way more popular. In fact, the Transformers started off as a franchise in Japan.
Well, yeah, don't be wrong. The Transformers franchise is like their A property, right?
Mm-hmm.
And G.I. Joe is probably like the close second was definitely the B property.
Yeah, G.I. Joe. This is how rank Hasbro's main franchises. Transformers is their A line, G.I. Joe is their B line, and then My Little Pony and I guess Jim and the Holograms is their C lines.
Yeah, I mean, you can even see that in any current media that got on that stuff today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, Transformers gets most of the spotlight. The G.I. Joe, I know, they kind of had a successful movie franchise with it, like live action.
Not really.
I mean, kind of. They had a couple sequels, or even a spinoff. I mean, it didn't do anywhere close as well as the Transformer franchise did.
But
as far as I know, there was like no show or anything. And then there's, I guess, the My Little Pony show that's been out for a while, which basically it's like Teen Titans Go, but pony form.
I haven't seen that show, but basically, basically during the course from when we graduated from high school and now, Hasbro has tried to make movie franchises out of Transformers, G.I. Joe, and Jim and the Holograms. Jim and the Holograms failed. G.I. Joe, they keep putting life into it, but it's just not as popular as Transformers, even though the next Transformers movie will have G.I. Joe in it. And
Transformers. I mean, like, I'm not trying to cut you off, but like, if you go back to the 80s, you know, like, there wasn't officially like licensed comic book. You know, I actually have Marvel, like the actual Marvel comics.
Yeah.
The one that had the license to do the Transformers comic book and the G.I. Joe. And there was, I wanted to say, they had their own separate ones. And there was definitely a crossover one.
Yeah.
You know, like the Decepticons were lighting up with like the Cobra forces. And then, you know, like the Autobots were like lined up with, like the Joes kind of deal. And then I think they even made like, they would repackage some of the figures and recolor them. Because like there was like a tank Megatron toy that came out around that time.
Yeah.
Which it looked stupid, but it was a tie-in to that comic book, which again is based off the cartoon series, but I think it has its own continuity to an
Well,
extent.
well, the reason they made Megatron a tank in the 1990s is simply because his original form in the 80s was a handgun, and you just simply can't make a transforming toy gun.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've known that reason for a while, but like the initial like, you ever go find like pictures or a video of the actual figure? I'm like, holy fuck! Like you all could have done better than this. But
Yeah, are you talking about the Transformers Generation 2?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, they didn't do. I've seen pictures of that toy line. It's really bad. I think that's why they went with Beast Wars as the next toy line.
yeah. But anyway, enough about Transformers. Goes fuck them. You know, I'll say this with the GI Joe, like this movie we just got done doing.
Yeah.
And the show itself, I think the initial run of the show was a little bit shorter than the Transformers show. But I think it's weird because after the movie, I think the show itself they didn't make or release any new episodes for like a year or two.
The movie we are reviewing was actually the end of the actual TV show.
Well, no, not necessarily. So, again, I think Geek, the people behind like Captain Planet, some other like popular shows, they actually picked up the series, and I think they make 2 more seasons, and it takes place in the same continuity, but it's kind of like a rebooted version of it to an extent.
Yeah,
but it's still because like it still features most of the same characters, and it acknowledges events from the previous show and the movie.
right. Well, based on my research, the movie, the G.I. Joe movie, kind of was supposed to mark the end of the actual.
It was supposed to be the end of it.
Yeah,
but it wasn't. Like it did get picked up. Basically, it was like, again, it took Hasbro like a year or two to like shop around the rights to it, I guess, because they wanted to get somebody. Because to my knowledge, Hasbro was pumping a lot of money into the GI Joe franchise at that time, especially the show. I mean, they're pumping a lot of money into your other franchises, but they were like paying extra special deliberate attention to the GI Joe franchise, and they're basically trying to find like a company to make the show but cheaper. Because again, the previous show, just like the Transformers show, I think even the Jim and Gemini and the original My Pony show. I mean, I could be wrong on this, but I do know there's Transformers and Jim and the Geminis. All that was done by Toei Animation.
Yes. Most of the Hasbro's toy TV shows at the time were done in Japan by the same studio that makes Dragon Ball Z, anime. But after the Transformers movie came out for season 3 of Transformers, they went to a Korean company to make the final season of the Transformers.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the difference because I've seen the final season of the show.
Yeah,
the final couple seasons, but it's weird because it's still got a Japanese distribution, and then Toei still had a hand in it because when like the original series ended, Toei picked up, or they made a sequel series to it called The Headmasters.
Yes.
And again, it's the same character. It picks up exactly where it left off. And from there, Toei just did their own fucking thing with it. Bizarre shit.
Well, basically, during the late '80s, Hasbro, as you said, wanted to find a place they could do their animation, but for cheaper. Even though going to Japan at that time was their best option because Japan doesn't have it doesn't really have laws that protect its animators from working long, grueling hours.
Oh yeah, dude. There's all kinds of stories about the anime industry, but
So
we're not going to really dive into that here.
we won't, but basically, that for a while, most of your TV shows in the 80s and 90s that were animated in Japan. That's the reason why Disney and Warner Brothers went there because abusing your your workforce is legal in Japan.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah. Like a lot of Southeast Asia, dude. uh, I think again that's another story for another time, man. But I mean, going around, these shows look fucking cool. You know, like Thundercats. You know, like there were so many other shows. You know, a lot of them probably didn't last too long, but fuck.
Thundercats, in my opinion, had the best animation quality of any cartoon show from the 80s.
It actually that show itself actually lasted several seasons too.
Yeah, it was pretty well produced for what it was good because you would have compared the animation quality to G.I. Joe and Transformers shows, like Thundercats beats both of those shows out of the park.
Yeah, I mean Thundercats had a different production studio too. I don't think Toei was the one that animated that.
No, well, true. Toei didn't animate Thundercats, but the American company Rankin Bass was behind that.
Yeah, but anyway, now going back to the G.I. Joe movie, what I have noticed, you know, again, all these studios kind of reuse animation cycles.
Yeah.
You know, because there's scenes from the Transformers movie that they kind of reuse or whatever, or they take elements from it.
Yeah.
And they kind of just recolor it or repurpose it.
Mm-hmm.
Because like there's a scene where like they're entering like the Cobra lair, and it's exactly the same animation from like when you see Unicron.
Yeah, it's not exactly new what Marvel Productions was doing. Disney does it all the time.
Yeah, Disney was the one that fucking has the blueprint for it.
So like,
there's even like the soundtrack. You know, like I just copy and pasted some of the soundtrack, not all of it. A lot of it's still like original to the G.I. Joe movie franchise world.
Yeah.
But they did pull some of the Transformers the movie soundtrack. Now, granted, the G.I. Joe movie, I think we stated it before that it had a theatrical release. As far as I know, it did not. It was just originally released straight to video. If it had a theatrical release, it was a small one.
Yeah, I just watched one of Mom's dogs go to the bathroom. Fuck.
That's great. I don't give a fuck about her dogs.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely cut that part out, but that means I have to put down a pee pad. Where were we?
Like I said, we're talking about we're using animation and shit.
Oh yeah, using animation. Yeah, Disney pioneered the technique, especially with their later movies, starting in the late '60s. They just when the company was starting to fall on hard times, times because their movies weren't making making as much money as before.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they even pulled from the Transformers the movie soundtrack for certain scenes. Who's the guy, the composer? Vince DiCola. I might have pronounced that name wrong.
Yeah, Vince DiCola is the guy who I think he did the Rocky IV soundtrack.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, there's that, they kind of remixed the soundtrack a bit, so it sounds a little different.
Yeah,
but like that's the same soundtrack. As you're wrong, it works for the fucking movie. Like if I was Hasbro, I'm like, just reuse this fucking clip, man. Like it works. And then voila.
Yes.
And again, I think that's just the consequence of it being shelved to direct to home video release instead of it getting like a theatrical.
Well, part of the problem is Hasbro only gave each movie a certain limited budget to do everything. So, and I think they were hoping for the Transformers movie to be a hit. And when that movie did not become a hit, they just like cut back on the other movies that were in production.
Yeah. So this movie kind of suffers from it. I mean, I'll say this about the G.I. Joe movie.
Mm-hmm.
Not all the Hasbro movies. I mean, granted, I've only seen this one and Transformers.
Yeah,
I haven't seen the movies from the other franchises we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
At least from that era. I mean, I'm sure I will someday because I got kids into that crap. The G.I. Joe one is definitely the most consistent movie. You know what I mean? It still suffers from like little, I guess, you can call them plot holes, but inconsistencies, I guess.
Yeah, like that's the problem. The problem with the G.I. Joe movie, I found they tried to cram too much in the time frame that they had.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's the most consistent movie of all the franchises.
Mm-hmm.
But like the Transformers, the original Transformers movie, well, a lot of plot holes and inconsistencies and things that doesn't make fucking sense. You know, like there was too many little errors. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a cool movie. You know, but
Yeah, this is why most TV shows out there have like their own Bible to prevent that sort of thing from happening.
yeah, I mean, the G.I. Joe franchise. You know, I mean, the Hasbro has been was definitely making toys and shit long before Hasbro or G.I. Joe was ever a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like that one holds a special place in their heart. You know, like because like that's a definitely an original entity of Hasbro.
Mm-hmm.
Because like we said before, Transformers, like what we know as Generation One, they just pull from different toy lines from Japan.
Yeah.
You know, I think like the main one was called Diaclones, but there's other ones out there. And then they rebranded them all under one umbrella as the Transformers. You know, and when they introduced that shit to the states, you know, they gave them like the backstories and recolored some of the fucking figures, all that crap, redecorated them. But G.I. Joe is definitely like an original entity they developed in the '60s or whatever.
Yeah, G.I. Joe, when it first came out in the 60s, I think it was the 60s, I could be wrong. Like, it was the man's answer to Barbie.
Yeah. You know, you can't call it a fucking doll because, you know, come on. It's an action figure.
Yes, action figure that does the thing. Same exact thing as a Barbie doll. You can take its clothes off, do weird things to it, it puts clothes back on.
Give it accessories.
Yes, certain accessories. like today, my Sergeant Joe wants to go shopping with Barbie.
Yeah, but he's also prone to PTSD outbreaks and he's subjected to fucking domestic abuse.
Yes, Barbie wants to divorce Sergeant Joe and take his kids from him.
But he forgot he knows 100 ways to kill her with his bare hands and how to dispose of the body.
Yes.
Just like they did in Vietnam. But anyway.
Yes.
Oh, you know, fucking Ken sits in the cuck chair.
Ken is Sergeant Joe's gay lover.
You're right. He like he sits there with like puts the lipstick on. Oh god. But yeah, it was like Hasbro's answer to Barbie. I guess. You know, here's the crazy thing is Mattel. You know, they're the ones that own Barbie. They could have done the same thing with the Ken doll.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. You know, they could have like just give him like a military suit and call it an action figure. But I think they got put in a corner, and they did that. They just package him as an accessory to Barbie, basically.
Yeah.
That's like, oh fuck, hell, if we give him like military fucking uniforms, Hasbro can sue us now. So, he's a Barbie accessory from here on out.
Yeah. Basically,
except for the movie that just came out where he was by far the best character.
I haven't seen that movie.
Yeah, well, you like the energy to fucking go watch it, Cameron.
I just don't want to pay $30 to download the movie.
You're not Ken enough to fucking watch it, Cameron. But
I don't need to be Ken enough.
I'll say this about the movie.
Mm.
Ryan Gosling, he steals the show as Ken, dude. I'll just say that.
Good.
He's actually fucking hilarious as Ken.
Good.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a ultra feminist fucking chick movie at its core, which is really what the toy line's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
But he steals the show. He's like, wait a second, this is bullshit. Like he comes to like literally his villain arc is he realizes all that is bullshit, and then all of a sudden he becomes like the definition of like toxic masculinity, and overthrows the Barbies. And it's fucking funny.
Yeah. Well,
basically, that's what the G.I. Joe shit should be. You know, like what's that movie that had Demi Moore, G.I. Jane?
Yeah.
You know, imagine if Hasbro had the balls or just the whereabouts just to like create like a female G.I. Joe doll to complement the male one. Like you have G.I. Joe and G.I. Jane. Like,
together to make G.I. Jack.
Yeah, and their son, G.I. Joe Jr. Like, go, Joe.
Yo, Joe. Yo,
no, like, I'll say this, dude. Like, when they did the 80s cartoon,
yeah,
it definitely, I mean, I forget the female characters, a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
But, you're like, damn it, you could have just called him G.I. Jane. But, like, at least they gave him, like, a female action figure, right?
Yeah.
But, this movie overall, dude, it's entertaining. Like, there's definitely a lot going on in it.
Yeah.
The action sequences and everything.
Yeah, I actually like what it did with Cobra in this movie because, like, you see, I haven't watched an episode of the actual show, but apparently Cobra Commander answers to a guy wearing a Cobra costume close to Serpentor or something.
Yeah.
And you see more, and if he wasn't in this show before, he's definitely a major presence in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, Cobra Commander is a cool concept. He's kind of like, what's that show? Inspector Gadget. You had like, Dr. Claw or Mr. Claw or whatever.
Mm.
He's kind of like that. However, he's definitely way more visible. You know?
Yeah, Cobra Commander and G.I. Joe, he's basically Starscream. And he is voiced by the same voice actor who does Starscream, so
he's like, he does that high pitched Starscream voice all the time. Pathetic fools. He just fucking runs off. Die,
Megatron. Megatron.
Like wrong franchise. Oh, that's right.
Megatron, trust my nipples.
They get Frank Welker as the voice to his boss. But in all seriousness, though, like with the Transformers movie, they had like some B-list celebrities that had like prominent roles. Like, I mean, I take that back. Orson Welles and Leonard Nimoy are not D-list, but the rest of them were. Same thing here, but even more B-list here.
Like, well, they had Don Johnson as Lieutenant Falcon. He was at the top of his game on Miami Vice when this movie came out.
Yeah, like come on, dude. Outside of Miami Vice, what the fuck has Don Johnson done?
Well, he's done. Well, he has a hot daughter.
Yeah, besides that. So, it's Sergeant Slaughter voice. Guys, wait for it. Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah.
What's funny is like when they relaunched the show a couple years after the movie.
Yeah.
His character is still there. So I'm like, what kind of deal did WWE fucking make? Not this guy. They use the likeness of Sergeant Slaughter. And he does all the Sergeant Slaughter things you'd expect Sergeant Slaughter to do.
Yeah, well, again, That's actually good marketing on Hasbro's end, because you have a wrestler out there named Sergeant Slaughter, and you have a cartoon show where toys try to kill each other called G.I. Joe. Why not have him advertise for the show?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely smart, but I'm like how the WWE, like if they made a Sergeant Slaughter toy based off the GI Joe appearance, WWE gets a slice of the sales.
Yeah, well, well. Again, that's good business. That's a good business deal on Vince McMahon's end.
Yeah, like fuck. But and there was a couple other like celebrity voices. I forget who they were.
Again, it was John Johnson, Sergeant Slaughter, and then some actor. I forget his name, but like he's been in some movies.
Yeah, and the rest of them, like, don't give a fuck anymore.
It was Meredith something. What? But point is, by the time he was voice acting the main villain in this movie, his acting career was done for anyway.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, the voice acting is pretty much what you would expect for a movie of this nature. Like nobody there is winning an Oscar for the performance.
No, but
it's passable.
Again, they're just basically trying to make a 90-minute commercial of your typical 30-minute commercial aimed at kids. It's just weren't bound by the same TV censorship regulations when it comes to the big screen.
Yep. And then that's how you get this movie. I mean,
yes.
Overall,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we have to use the Golden Seagull rating system. From now on, we have to use that rating system for all our movies. Now remember, the more Seagulls it gets, the shittier the movie is. So how many Golden Seagulls would you give it?
I would give this movie 1.5 Seagulls.
Yeah, I'd probably give it 2. I mean, this is generic. I mean, again, if you were to re-deco the Joes and the Cobras as Autobots and Decepticons, you basically get the same plot as the Transformers franchise.
Yeah. Again, the movie has a cool animation aesthetic to it because it goes made in Japan, and it's packed full of action. At times, they try to cram too much in, but it's a passable 90-minute movie if your kid wants to get into retro stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like sitting through it while doing our review and everything. Like I enjoyed sitting through it. I can't sit here and say it's a shitty, stupid movie. Definitely an obscure and I guess rare movie. That and fits perfectly with what our channel's about.
Yes, well, our next movie it's even going to be even a rarer find.
Oh, what movie is that going to be?
We're going to review Godzilla 1984 for our next movie.
Which version, the American one or the Japanese one?
The original Japanese cut.
There we go. What we should do is get the original Japanese cut to the original Godzilla. I mean, that'd be a different project for a different day.
Well, I was able to. A few years ago, I bought the DVD of the Japanese version of Godzilla 1984, and then I was able to transfer that movie into my computer. So,
nice. Well,
and so right now on our drive. Like, here's the thing about that DVD. Even though it came from Japan, it might have been an actual bootleg itself.
Yeah, possibly.
But I own the same movie on Blu-ray, and basically both versions are the same.
Oh, that's fine. We definitely got to get some Godzilla movies on there.
Yeah, because for our next movie coming up, our our next movie should be Godzilla 1984 because Godzilla Day is coming up soon, and they're releasing Godzilla -1.
Absolutely.
So, so if we could make a review in time for that, perfect.
Exactly. Well, with that said,
Mhm.
I got nothing else to add. Any final thoughts and opinions? So unless you have
I
anything
have
else,
nothing. I have nothing else to add myself. But I want to point out to our audience, our next review might experience some delays because I have things going on in my household that take priority.
yeah, and we're gonna have like upgrade some equipment and stuff too. But with that
Yeah.
said, um, just wait for us to drop our review for Godzilla and any other movies we have up on the docket. And
Okay.
until next time,
All right. Later, people.
yeah, later.